So we're in 2022.
2022.
Gentrification. Black neighborhoods are being diluted by gentrification and an influx of Latinos. Where do you see the black gang scene in LA in the next 5-10 years with those two factors?
I think the gang scene is going to die out because every neighborhood, I ain't going to say every neighborhood, but most neighborhoods are at war with themselves. It's a lot of infighting. A lot of reputable people in 2021 were killed by their own people. Even before that, 2019 and all that. So when we look at the landscape, it's gonna die out with that. Crips and Bloods. I think more peacemakers are gonna be coming along. More people are gonna be moving to Vegas, moving to Arizona, moving to Georgia, back down south, Texas. So I think that our population right now, from what I was told, went from 12,000 to 8,000, but I believe it's going to be about 5 or 6%. I mean, here in Los Angeles, and it's just going to keep dropping and getting lower because we're going to go to prison or we're going to move out.
Is that kind of a good thing? The double-edged sword. We're losing our communities, but we're not going to be killing each other in the same breath.
Well, just imagine, when did we come here? So most of the black communities came here in the 1950s, right? Just the 1940s, trying to avoid Jim Crow, segregation of the South. So, what did Malcolm X say? Man, it never made me sad when the chickens come home to roost. So we going back to what we come from. My family, the Townsends, is from Mississippi. My mother's family from Texas, my daddy's family from Louisiana. We come from, but most of them started in Georgia, and then they went to those other places. So, going back down south, man, knowing what land is, knowing what fresh air is. The only time most people get fresh air is when they out somewhere in the penitentiary. You know what I mean? They see that air with no smog. So can we do it and not be in prison? So we could lead this to them, man. They almost had a tsunami, man. They was all gonna be drowning anyway, man.
But that's crazy, man. We came out to the land of milk and honey, the Golden State. Came out here, slaughtered ourselves, and now we're leaving and gained nothing. Well, there's a few of us that held on, but majority was just a nice little run. Now we're going back south.
Yeah.
What you think about that?
Man, I think it's time, brother. I think, I have a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old son, and they've already gravitated to the foolishness. And had I moved somewhere else, they wouldn't have.
Really? I was under the impression that most of these kids are not really interested in the gang shit no more. They're in the house. They're not out and about like how we used to be. They're stuck on their phones. They're indoors. You don't see no one hanging out on the streets, on the porches, like before.
They're on Instagram.
Like they're in La La Land.
They're on Instagram with their fingers chunked up. They pulling their pants up like they want to fight. They doing videos. They sagging. They getting tattoos and putting the tattoos out there, man. They hopping the fence at school, not staying at school, and going hanging out on the block to say that they're on the block. And they putting each other on, man. You got 15 and 16-year-olds putting on the 13, 14-year-olds, and then go over there to that neighborhood and they say, well, who put them on? And they look and say, man, you ain't even got put on. How you putting somebody on? So now you got to tell the kids, man, you got beat up for nothing. Them dudes beat you up to put you on and they not even on. So it's like, man, it's a lot. They could take it and run. They playing Grand Theft Auto in real life. They stealing cars. They pulling pistols. They think, they think it's a game.
How come the older homies can't close the books on joining? Close the books on membership?
Man, they can, really, but what's going to happen is they're going to create something else. So if you say, okay, look, that's it. We done with Crips and Bloods. No more Pyrus. And these kids are going to become gladiators. They're going to become businessmen. They're going to become Slausons. And you know what I mean? They're going to figure out something to be. They're going to be something goofy, something that's on TV right now. They're going to claim that name, and they're going to be something. So the best thing that we could do, I believe, as parents is keep them going into whatever we want them to go into. Like, my youngest son's, their mother, I kept saying, I'm going to take them every week to the fire department. They're going to learn everything about being a fireman, this and that. And she said, let them be what they want to be. Don't force them into nothing, okay? Now the door is open. They want to be Crips. What you gonna do now? How we gonna take it back? At least I had a better idea with the fire department.
Yeah, once they join, they got to go through the journey and learn it.
And then especially if they like it.
That's cool.
Conclusion.
Yeah, give us a good message for
A Skipp Towwnsend
Like
message
your
to the
son.
masses.
your 15, 16-year-old son.
Man, I think the message is it's a three-pronged approach, even though I believe that we could work with each and every child and we could take them through the necessary steps of loving themselves, changing their mindset, their behavior, their attitude. At the same time, what happens when we put them right back in a situation that don't support the change? And I ain't talking about the community, I'm talking about the home. If I take Big Killer's son, and I don't want him to be Tiny Killer, I want him to be Theodore or something like that, and then he starts listening to me, but I put him back in the house when Big Killer still smoke weed in the living room. The girl is on the Section 8, this and that, and they got people over at all hours. Tell the kid, go in the back, man, we doing something. And they chopping up whatever they chopping up. Then that influence that I'm trying to get him out of, I can't because he lives with it. And then the third part is the environment. As soon as he goes outside, like I always tell this to law enforcement, if you got a brother, Rodney and Randy crazy, but Rodney go to school, want to play football. When they come out the house, you look at them both the same. You don't know how to know the difference. I know the difference. I know that boy going somewhere, and this boy got a gun, this and that. Y'all don't know that. Y'all gonna jack him up the same. Y'all gonna treat him the same until eventually you're gonna say, fuck it. So I think it's a three-pronged approach. We all gotta work at it from every angle.